Howdy folks, this is Danny with Danny Links Calling, and I am going to talk to y'all today about a video. I'm going to show you a little piece of video, and then we're going to talk about it and the state of play in our nation, in the world, and if you know what I mean when I say, do you know what time it is, then you know what time it is. If you don't know what I mean, maybe you need to hang around and find out. If you decide to click on my channel, you're gonna get a taste of what's coming, what's here, where we're at, and it's going to be 100% factual truth. And if your politics just can't handle that, then you can scroll on. But you're going to hear what I think and what the Bible says and what can be factually proven over here. So I'm going to show you a little piece of video, and we're going to talk about what's said and what it says about where we're at. And here we go.
What happened while we were away, brought to you by Breathe the Free Air Again, my friend. That was the gist of Secretary of State Marco Rubio's message to European leaders during the Munich Security Conference. Rubio delivered less a speech and more an attempted exorcism of an entire continent possessed by globalism.
For 5 centuries, before the end of the Second World War, the West had been expanding. Its missionaries, its pilgrims, its soldiers, its explorers pouring out from its shores to cross oceans, settle new continents, build vast empires extending out across the globe. But in 1945, for the first time since the age of Columbus, it was contracting. Europe was in ruins. Half of it lived behind an iron curtain, and the rest looked like it would soon follow. The great Western empires had entered into terminal decline, accelerated by godless communist revolutions and by anti-colonial uprisings that would transform the world and drape the red hammer and sickle across vast swaths of the map in the years to come. Against that backdrop, then as now, many came to believe that the West's age of dominance had come to an end, and that our future was destined to be a faint and feeble echo of our past. But together, our predecessors recognized that decline was a choice, and it was a choice they refused to make. This is what we did together once before, and this is what President Trump and the United States want to do again now, together with you. And this is why we do not want our allies to be weak, because that makes us weaker. We want allies who can defend themselves so that no adversary will ever be tempted to test our collective strength. This is why we do not want our allies to be shackled by guilt and shame. We want allies who are proud of their culture and of their heritage, who understand that we are heirs to the same great and noble civilization, and who together with us are willing and able to defend it. And this is why we do not want allies to rationalize the broken status quo rather than reckon with what is necessary to fix it. For we in America have no interest in being polite and orderly caretakers of the West's managed decline. We do not seek to separate, but to revitalize an old friendship and renew the greatest civilization in human history. What we want is a reinvigorated alliance that recognizes that what has ailed our societies is not just a set of bad policies, but a malaise of hopelessness and complacency. An alliance is the alliance that we want is one that is not paralyzed into inaction by fear. fear of climate change, fear of war, fear of technology. Instead, we want an alliance that boldly races into the future. And the only fear we have is the fear of the shame of not leaving our nations prouder, stronger, and wealthier for our children. An alliance ready to defend our people, to safeguard our interests, and to preserve the freedom of action that allows us to shape our own destiny. Not one that exists to operate a global welfare state and atone for the purported sins of past generations. An alliance that does not allow its power to be outsourced, constrained, or subordinated to systems beyond its control. One that does not depend on others for the critical necessities of its national life. And one that does not maintain the polite pretense that our way of life is just one among many, and that asks for permission before it acts. And above all, an alliance based on the recognition that we, the West, have inherited together. What we have inherited together is something that is unique and distinctive and irreplaceable. Because this, after all, is the very foundation of the transatlantic bond. We made these mistakes together. And now, together, we owe it to our people to face those facts and to move forward to rebuild. Under President Trump, the United States of America will once again take on the task of renewal and restoration, driven by a vision of a future as proud, as sovereign, and as vital as our civilization's past. And while we are prepared, if necessary, to do this alone, it is our preference and it is our hope to do this together with you, our friends here in Europe. For the United States and Europe, we belong together. America was founded 250 years ago, but the roots began here on this continent long before. The men who settled and built the nation of my birth arrived on our shores carrying the memories and the traditions and the Christian faith of their ancestors as a sacred inheritance, an unbreakable link between the old world and the new. We are part of one civilization, Western civilization. We are bound to one another by the deepest bonds that nations could share, forged by centuries of shared history, Christian faith, culture, heritage, language, ancestry, and the sacrifices our forefathers made together for the common civilization to which we have fallen heir. And so this is why we Americans may sometimes come off as a little direct and urgent in our counsel. This is why President Trump demands seriousness and reciprocity from our friends here in Europe. The reason why, my friends, is because we care deeply. We care deeply about your future and ours. And if at times we disagree, our disagreements come from our profound sense of concern about a Europe with which we are connected, not just economically, not just militarily. We are connected spiritually, and we are connected culturally. We want Europe to be strong. We believe that Europe must survive. Because the two great wars of the last century serve for us as history's constant reminder that ultimately our destiny is and will always be intertwined with yours. Because we know that the fate of Europe will never be irrelevant to our own.
Also at the Munich Security Conference, old Hillary Clinton says,
there is a legitimate reason to have a debate about things like migration. It went too far, it's been disruptive and destabilizing, and it needs to be fixed in a humane way.
And finally, death taxes, and AOC is still really dumb.
Rubio's speech was a pure appeal to Western culture. My favorite part was when he said that American cowboys came from Spain.
I thought they came from Winnetou, but
I believe the Mexicans and descendants of African enslaved peoples would like to have a word.
And that's what happened while we were away.
My gosh, she has a single-digit IQ. the Mexicans were sacrificing children before the Spaniards showed up there. Chica. Okay? Apocalypto was like a docudrama. That's what was going on there until the Spaniards showed up. Okay? They were eating the cats, eating the dogs, and throwing their kids into volcanoes before the Spaniards showed up.
What'd you think of that? What'd you think of that end part? I'm gonna go right there. The Mexicans were sacrificing children before the Spanish got there. This is true. Apocalypto is like a docudrama. If y'all don't know Steve Deaces, you need to find out who Steve Deaces is, because he kills me. If you don't know Steve Deaces and you're a Christian and you have a biblical worldview, a pro-American biblical worldview, you need to find out who Steve Deaces is. Oh, goodness. AOC definitely, she truly is the most ignorant person in the world. I don't know if people know this, but, yeah, the Spanish brought horses. I don't know if people know this. This is a little bit of deep history. You might know that they call Florida natives Florida crackers. And you might think that's got something to do with being white or some racist redneck something. But it does not. It has got to do with the Spanish cowboys. The first cowboys in Florida were Spanish, y'all. And they drove cattle in Florida. The Spanish, Hispanic, I don't know if, AOC doesn't apparently know her own history, being Hispanic. Ocasio-Cortez does not know that cowboys were Spanish. The first cowboys were Spanish. They call Florida crackers because the Spanish cowboys drove cattle with a bullwhip. They call them a bullwhip because you whip the bull with the snap, the crack of the whip drives the cattle. I don't know how all them Indians in the West got all them horses. I guess they swam over here because horses are not native to the Americas. The horses that were native to the Americas died out a long time before that. The Spanish brought them and they turned them loose like they did hogs. They turned hogs loose because hogs would raise themselves and there would be food when they came back from Spain. Oh my goodness, the stupidity does not cease to amaze. Look, I want you to take the clip of Marco Rubio, who is Hispanic. He's from Cuba. His family's from Cuba. Spanish people live in Cuba. Oh my goodness. Mexicans are Spanish people mixed with the natives there, as are most of the people in the islands. Except for the black people that were from black slaves that came there, that were brought there. Oh, Lord, that's just something. But take that clip of Marco Rubio and that clip of AOC. And in the middle, you've got Hillary Clinton saying all the stuff that they've done has ruined the world. The stuff she pushed, Obama pushed, they've all pushed. Democrats have been pushing, they're still pushing it. Has ruined the world. And she got in trouble for that. She's not allowed to say that kind of stuff. Oh. But you take that first clip and that last clip. Y'all, if you are on the left, do you not see who you're standing next to? Would you not rather be standing next to Marco Rubio speaking the way he's speaking and saying the things he's saying? Okay, I'm going to get to the point. So, what did Marco Rubio have to say there? Everything he said was true. The West has decided that in an attempt to bring about globalism, if you are a Bible person, I want you to hear, in globalism, I want you to hear one world government, one global government. You've heard that before, right? And if you haven't, you've not been paying attention, or you've been going to the wrong kind of church. Because you should know what the Bible says about an end of days, one world government that will bring about the Antichrist rule, and it's how he will rule. This is what the Europeans and the American left has been trying to bring about since before we were born. Certainly all of my life they've been hard at it. And when I say the left, I don't just mean Democrats. I'm talking about people like the Bushes, the Clintons, of course. How about Nixon? Oh, progressivism knows no party lines, y'all. And progressivism doesn't mean moving progressively into the future. It means progressively, slowly moving to communism. It's been a plan all along, and apparently a lot of people are blind to that. Marco Rubio just stood up there and told the people that have been doing this that we're done with that. And you can come along, or we'll do it on our own. But we're doing it. We're moving back towards the greatness that was the West, that brought liberty, rights, human rights, life instead of death, got rid of slavery. Somehow the world only thinks slavery took place in America and only in the South, not in the righteous North. Now, the biggest slave markets in the country were in New York City. I know most of you might not know that. But they came through New York City, and they were sold on auction blocks in New York City. The vast majority of slaves. There were slaves all over the North. There were slaves in the North after it was illegal to have slaves in the South, according to the North. There's been slavery from the beginning. And there's slavery right now. And the people who seem to care the most about it in the past don't care about it or even know it exists now, in numbers greater than all the combined numbers of the 250 years of the Atlantic slave trade. But I digress. So Marco Rubio gets up there and tells them all that what they've been doing has brought about their demise. And it wasn't a mistake. It was all intentional. Bringing millions upon millions of immigrants from countries that hate us was not a mistake. It was done intentionally to drive nails in the coffin of the West in order to bring about the great socialist utopia that we all know exists. They just haven't done it right yet. I got a kitty that's losing her mind. She needs petting right now. Hello, Clementine. What are you doing? Baby, you can't be right there, okay? No, you can't be right there. You're gonna have to give me a minute. She's very sweet, though. This has been intentional, y'all. And their plans have been at least delayed slightly. I don't think they've been stopped. Certainly they haven't been stopped. But they have been delayed, and they don't like that a bit. The devil knows his time is short, and he has been working overtime to bring about his will. Because he thinks his will override the will of God. You wouldn't think that an angel could be that stupid. But he was stupid enough to rebel against a holy and righteous God who created him. Sounds kind of like a child, doesn't it? They rebel against the very ones who created them and love them the most. There is a plot asunder. It is afoot, y'all. The plot is afoot. And it has been, and it's global, and it's in the UN, and it's in the governments of the world. And God just decided to put a linchpin in it and hold it up for a little while. I would imagine he did that because he knows there are a few more who can be saved. And God said he didn't wish any would perish, but that all would be saved. And there's a whole bunch that ain't going to be saved. So I imagine he's trying to get every last one. Every last one that will come. And there's a whole lot that won't come. Y'all, I can tell you stories about people that I love dearly that refused all the way to a noose. Refused my request to talk about the Lord seriously, to not hem and haw me, to not ignore me, all the way to a noose. Know some that ain't that far, but they ain't far from it. Because their noose may not be intentional, but it may be tomorrow. Their last day may be tomorrow. My last day may be tomorrow, and then they won't have me to be running them down trying to tell them the truth. And I've been arrogant in thinking that I could run them down with the truth. Jesus didn't do that. Do you not think Jesus was probably the best evangelist that ever walked the earth? He was God incarnate. Do you think he didn't love people as much as we love them? You think he didn't maybe love my friends and my family more than I love them? He's the God that created them. And you know what he did when people refused him? He walked away. He told his disciples that if they refused to hear the truth, to dust their sandals off and head out. Brush your boots off, son, and get on down the road and hunt somebody that wants to hear the truth. And leave them ones that don't want to hear it back there. But I'll tell you, that's hard to do when you love them. It is hard to do. But I've explained this to other people, but it's always harder for us to understand the things that we can easily explain to other people, ain't it? I've told other people the same thing. You can't save them. That's Jesus' job. You can't call them. That's God's job. And you can't speak into their heart. That's the Holy Spirit's job. All you can do is present them with the truth. And if they will not accept the truth, then that's up to them. Marco Rubio was laying some truth out for all those ignorant Europeans that are sitting on their hands. Did you notice they actually gave him an applause line? Where'd that happen? When he said that we're all in this together. You know what they heard? We're going to keep giving y'all money. The gravy train's going to keep going. So y'all can keep calling us idiots and terrible for not having free health care and all this mess while y'all been spending all your defense money on that. Because we've been spending our money to defend us and you. Every one of them over there needs to feel the wrath of God. And they're going to. If they don't come to the Lord, they're going to. Do you know that the King of England now, several years ago, before he was king, said that he wasn't going to be the defender of the faith like every other king had been. He was going to be the defender of the faiths, the many faiths, the Islam and all. The Islam that's taken their country over, that they invited them in to take it over, that the actual English people are losing their minds over it because their leaders sold them out, just like ours did, sold us down the river. You thought that selling people down the river stopped in the slave days. No, they've been doing it all along. Matter of fact, the same people been doing it to black people, white people, tan people, yellow people, and red people, selling us all down the river. So Marco Rubio, I had great hopes for him when he first came out, and then he lost me. He lost me right away with the let's make everybody legal. But he's made a comeback, hasn't he? Somebody asked today, did you think he was the best Secretary of State we've ever had? And I can't think of one even close in my lifetime. Now, I don't know, there may have been one at some point, right? Thomas Jefferson, maybe. He's a good one. And who knows what the future holds, but he's doing the job well. He's carrying the faith well. He's carrying his duty to the Constitution well. I think I'm going to leave it at that. Go back and listen to that. I've still got technical stuff I've got to figure out. But so I'm having to just film my screen. I still can't figure out how to insert video. But guys, look that up. Look Steve Deaces up. It was on the very first segment this morning. On Aaron's rundown of what happened while we were away. But you can just look up Marco Rubios Speech and you'll find it. Guys, I want you to remember that the word of the Lord is sharp, but his grace is more than sufficient. She's been on me all night. I hadn't given her enough attention. I've been working. And I want you to keep your powder dry. Keep your blade sharp. And I will see you next time on Danny Links Calling. Bye.